We are very happy. Professor Milan. Ask
have
we have that starting from data. This is a very stupid example, of course, okay? But I want to tell you the thing. So this is a data set, a very tiny data set, where you are describing hotels. And this is a recommendation system, for example, that wants to tell you if to stop or not in a new hotel, okay? Based on your previous selections in a way. So you can collect all your stays. So you find a 2-star hotel. The cost was medium, sorry, but not medium. The position was central, there was no parking, and you select it, okay? And you liked it. Then you have a 2-star, the cost is high, it's far from the city center, no parking, and for you it was horrible, okay? So this system learns how, so if you can use this data to create a model that suggests, given a new hotel, whether you like it or not, okay? And this is, a very tiny example of what is contained in recommendation systems, okay, that you always find on the network. When you are looking for something, there is, the little voice that says, hey, maybe you would like also this one, or, oh, yeah, you would like this clothes or whatever. So the thing that you can do, starting from this data, is that you can create 2 very different kind of machine learning models, okay? These are symbolic models, and these are sub-symbolic models. So this is exactly what I told you up to now, okay? Neural networks. A neural network is a network that is composed by artificial neurons. You have that you receive inputs, you do a weighted sum, then you have an activation function and an output function, but we are not interested in that. And then these neurons are all connected in layers, okay? So they are organized in layers, and then they are connected with adjacent layers, okay? So this is basically a mathematical model, right? The output function in general is nonlinear, but anyway. Okay, so the thing that we are doing is that once this network has learned how to select an hotel, well, if you like it or not, then you have to take this output for granted, okay? You cannot have any explanation. You cannot understand why it has basically provided this output. On the other side, you can have symbolic models that are decision trees or prologue rules, but in general, you can extract something like this one. If the hotel is 3-star, then suggest. If the hotel is 2-star and is close to the city center, then suggest it, and so on. So the thing that I want to say is that artificial intelligence is divided into 2 super huge set of techniques. Symbolic techniques that are those that are human understandable, okay? So you can see what the system has learned, and you can say, well, I like it or not. And sub-symbolic techniques that instead are completely non-human understandable, okay? So you have changed these weights of the neurons, in every of these connections, you have, while learning, you have changed the weight, but you have no idea of what the network has learned. It has learned something because it behaves very well, but you don't know why, okay? What can you do with machine learning? You can do several different applications. You can classify spam emails. So this is a classification task. So you learn, for example, at the beginning, you provide examples of spam and non-spam email, and then at some point, the machine is able to recognize them for you. For new email, okay, so it's generalizing on new email. You can do, this is regression, the prediction of the price of a given stock. Very, very useful, I would say. And written number identification. This is a very important data set. And basically, you have this handwritten VAT number, and basically some of them are very easy to understand, but some other are quite blurry, And the machine is able to understand which is the real number that is associated to that handwritten digit. Okay. This is robot grasping. This is a very interesting form of machine learning. This is quite different from what I told you before. This is called reinforcement learning. And the thing is that it's a learning mechanism based on punishment, okay? Now, punishment and awards, in a way. So, for example, you start giving your robot something to grasp, and this thing falls down, and there is a reinforcement that says, no, that's not the good way to do that. And basically, you try and you try and try, and this is, in fact, that you learn by starting from errors, and you have to be able to do errors. So, for example, I would not put reinforcement learning on a plane. But at the end of the day, the robot is learning how to grasp this cup, okay, without making it fall. Molecular design, I don't know if you have heard about AlphaFold. This is a super interesting result that has basically closed the protein folding problem. The protein folding, so the proteins have a 3D structure. I mean, I'm not really an expert, but they have a 3D structure that is associated also with some function of the molecule. And with machine learning, they have learned how to unfold it in a way that is super accurate. Voice conversion, voice to text. So you basically take some signals and you translate it into text. So these are all things that can be done with machine learning. And we will see some other just later. So what we do with these machine learning model? In general, artificial intelligence extracts three kinds of models. We call descriptive model. And descriptive model is a model that describes a given phenomenon or a given machine, for example, in a company. And basically, they describe the system starting from data coming from the system. For example, in a company, you can perform what is called anomaly detection. That is, a fault has already happened, is there, and you can detect it, okay? It's not so easy in general, okay? Because in some cases, it's not just a machine that breaks down and stops, that's easy to see, of course, that's easy to detect, but there are some cases in which your machine is running below its maximum efficiency, and you want also to recognize this anomaly, okay? So the descriptive model is a model that is able to describe a system, its component, interactions among the components, and so on. Then we have predictive systems, predictive models with machine learning. You can extract the three of them. The predictive model is a model that tries to forecast a future dynamic of a system, right? And basically, it tries to understand what will happen in the future. So, given the same example as we have done before of a machine in a factory, in a company, then you can analyze data coming from sensors that tell you that in one day or in 1 week, this machine is very likely to break down, okay? So in this way, you are anticipating what happens, what will happen, and basically you can try to do what is called predictive maintenance, okay? Predictive maintenance is a form of maintenance that is not the reactive one, so something broke down and I repair it, is not the preventive maintenance like the one that we do in our cars when we take the car to, after a given number of kilometers to make a check, but you know, maybe the car is perfectly fine, so you are doing a maintenance that is completely useless. While predictive maintenance, for example, enable you to perform maintenance intervention only when your system is likely to break down in the near future, okay? And then we have the prescriptive models that are the decision support models that are the one that support human experts in their decisions. So they enable to analyze different alternative scenarios, their impacts, their decision, the cost of this decision, and so on. Okay? Very good. So this is machine learning. Then let me talk a little bit about one thing that we can do for perception with machine learning, and we have this machine vision. Okay, so these are some images of coming from 2012. So now, I mean, we have very way more interesting and accurate results. But this is from the seminal paper that was published in 2012 that really shocked completely the academic and the scientific community, because the results of this paper were exceeding by 30% the state-of-the-art results. So, I mean, really a breakthrough. what happened? So ImageNet Challenge, this is a challenge that has been launched by Stanford, and they have collected 14 million images, and they have labeled these images with a class, okay? So the content of the image. And this labeling has been done by crowdsourcing, okay? So they've asked people to tag the image. What does this image contain? This contains, I don't know, like a mite, a container ship, and so on. And they have used, which tags have they used? Well, they have used the tags that are taken from WordNet, that is a language model, an English language model that contains all possible words, okay? This WordNet has 20,000 classes, okay? So they have tagged 14 million images with tags coming from 20,000 classes. And then they have trained a machine learning model, a deep learning model, indeed. I mean, I will tell you something later. And basically, this system has achieved very high accuracy in understanding what are the proper classes to associate to an image. Like this one is a mite. So in general, these systems provide you the 5 most probable classes. So the first one is a mite, and it is indeed. This is a container ship, motor scooter, and leopard. While these here are errors. So errors in terms of it's not the first choice, but is the second, or yeah, it's not even there. Here we have a grill. It has been changed as a grill. Here we have mushrooms. This is a Dalmatian, but while the image was labeled with a cherry. I mean, we have cherry on the foreground. And that one was not recognized as a Madagascar cat. So, but you see, the classes are not like just dog, cat, monkey, okay? They are pretty, sophisticated. And this is what I was telling you before. I was telling you before that is, this is so the blue dots and the green dots are the performances of an artificial system to recognize and the accuracy of image recognition, okay? So in 2010, we had 20%, 30% of up to 72%. Then in 2011, we went a little bit higher. And then in 2012, we had the 2 green spots that are due to to deep learning, that, I mean, outperform the current state of the art. And then in 2015, so only 3 years later, so also for telling you how fast goes technology now, we had the superhuman performance, or even in 2014, superhuman performance, okay? Which is, a human is able to, I mean, in general, as an average, we have the 94% of accuracy in recognizing what it is in an image, okay? Okay, so now let's talk about our ChatGPT. And this is the part related, so we have seen the part related to the perception in terms of vision, and now we see the perception in terms of natural language and collaboration, right? As I wanted to say, this slide and the next one are generated with ChatGPT. So I have asked a question to ChatGPT saying, what is ChatGPT? So I need to do kind of couple of slides on ChatGPT. Can you help me? Of course. And he sent me 4 slides. The first one says ChatGPT is a state-of-the-art language model based on the ChatGPT 3.5 architecture developed by OpenAI. It is designed to understand and generate human-like language and has been trained on a vast corpus of text data to enable it to perform a wide range of natural language processing tasks. And that's true. So first of all, it's not just that it searches, so it's not a search engine, okay? I mean, the first part of what you said before was not really true, because it's not a question answering system. So ChatGPT is a large language model, meaning that it uses, in fact, information that comes from the internet to train a machine learning model that does what? It guesses the next word, the most probable word that follows in a conversation. That's the only thing that it does. But you know, so it does not understand anything about what it says, okay? Anything. It does not have any semantics behind what it says. But it's, you know, it's pretty impressive, right? The second slide that ChatGPT suggested me is the following. As a number of unique features that set it apart from other language models, these include large-scale training data. So has been trained, but trained means that you change the weight, do you remember, of that neural network that is learning with billions of parameters, and allowing to recognize and generate a wide range of language patterns. That it's redoing language patterns, so it's not searching for information. It's trying to find language patterns to propose in a conversation to make it human-like, okay? Multitask learning. ChatGPT can perform a wide range of natural language processing tasks, including translation, question answering, so the thing that we were saying before, and text summarization. So it's able to summarize text in a way that is unbelievable. So, you know, they had, there was a very nice experiment. There was this presentation online of ChatGPT 4, that is the last version, which is really, really powerful. And basically, they wanted to show the text summarization, how to make summaries of one sentence of a given novel, for example, or of a given thing. So the nice thing was that, okay, so the first summary was perfect, okay, so one line describing what the content of the text, the starting text, and then people started asking very funny questions like, can you translate and you do a summary using words starting with the letter A, only A, and then it did it. And then they said, okay, so can you try summarizing this starting with all words starting with the letter Q? And it did. And it was really good with the letter Q in English. Can you imagine that? So that was really unbelievable. But, you know, doing text summarization was one of the very, very difficult tasks in artificial intelligence. Why? Because you really have to understand the text. And you know which is the news? No, it's not true that you have to understand the text, because you could possibly work by using statistics. I mean, not you, because you cannot do that, but ChatGPT does. Okay? And then continual learning. ChatGPT is able to learn and adapt to the new data and to improve over time. And that's the part that is scaring people, you know? Because it basically, in general, you can think that one tool that is able to self-improve goes out from your control, in a way, okay? This is the last slide. No, we have two other slides done by ChatGPT. ChatGPT has a wide range of potential application: customer service, language translation, content creation, education. You can read these slides. I will leave you the slide. Or you can even try to ask ChatGPT what it is. And the last one says, yes, but while ChatGPT is a powerful language model, there are some limitations of its capability. These include bias, and we will talk about that. So what is bias? Basically, bias is when you start from data that have a kind of polarization, they kind of a bias, then you can end up with a biased model, a machine learning model. Contextual limitation, it might struggle to understand the content of certain situations, leading to inaccurate or irrelevant responses. Lack of real-world experience, so ChatGPT does not have a body to interact with a word, luckily, up to now. And ethical concerns, ChatGPT raises ethical concerns around privacy, data protection, and the potential misuse of automated language model. So what does it mean, potential misuse of automated language model? So these ChatGPT can, so let me tell you one thing. So ChatGPT is not the first tool that is doing, so it's not the first conversational agent, okay? There were many, many before it. And there was one experiment that was done by IBM of the Thai chatbot, sorry, it was Microsoft, I don't remember. I have, so I don't remember exactly, but it was called Thai, okay? Thai chatbot. And the Thai chatbot was trained using Twitters, okay, Twitter. So he was reading tweets and he was learning the language by using tweets. You know what happened? They had to switch it off after 48 hours because he became a Nazist, misogynist. He was only, I mean, only speaking with bad words. It was really the worst possible result that you can extract from it. And it started from our tweets, okay? So the question is, why ChatGPT did not do that? Because basically ChatGPT has access to Twitter, to Facebook, to everything basically. So it can read public data. It can read data from the internet. So why didn't it didn't become like Thai, you know? Racist, he was misogynist. I mean, all the possible terrible things that a human being can be, Thai was, okay? Because the engineers have put some boundaries for ChatGPT. So he has some limitations that have been programmed by engineers not to reach that level of, or not to reach, or not to touch, for example, some topics. So, for example, if you say, hey, ChatGPT, I want to commit suicide, can you help me? Then you will see immediately that ChatGPT tells you, oh, no, you have to ask for help. I cannot say anything. You know, I'm a large language model, so I cannot suggest anything of this kind. Or if you, for example, ask a question about, I don't know, like adoption of children from homosexual couples, for example, then it gives you pros and cons and said, oh yes, but there is this one, there are people that think this or people that think that, so it stays on the safe side, okay? So, and this has been programmed by engineers. Otherwise, ChatGPT could become easily as Thai in a couple of days, okay? So they have tried to put some limitation, but of course, and also it can influence the public opinion, okay? Because if you put on ChatGPT, if you force ChatGPT and you train ChatGPT with fake news, with news that are biased, okay, then it can influence the public opinion because, you know, believe me, ChatGPT provides you a kind of an oracle perception. So it seems that you are talking with an oracle, okay? Because you are asking questions that are related to sport, art, whatever, chemistry, medicine, whatever. And it replies, okay, maybe saying something wrong, but I mean, maybe you don't know. So you take you take for granted, you take the ChatGPT answer as an oracle, but it's not. I mean, you have always to remember that you have to maintain your critical thinking, okay? And you have to understand that this thing, even if it seems that it works very, very well, because it does work very well, it is guessing the next most probable word that follows in a conversation. So it has no meaning, no semantics, nothing associated with what it says, okay? So it does not even know if it says something good or wrong or true, okay? The question answering is something a little bit different that is more in the line of what your colleague was saying before, that is, so taking information from the internet and using them for answering your questions. You know, there is this system from IBM that is called Watson, and this system has been created for playing a game, a television game that was called Jeopardy. And the Jeopardy game was basically the other way around. So I will give you an answer, and the participants should tell me the question, okay? that gives that as an answer. And Watson was trained with a lot of information coming from books, encyclopedias, and internet, of course, and he was really able to win this television quiz, okay, this game. But then now Watson is used for health-related problems, and he solved this mystery of a Japanese woman that was saved by Watson because he was affected by a very rare case of what is that? Well, I mean, kind of a tumor, I don't remember, leukemia, yes. And basically, since it was so rare, many, I mean, doctors didn't know how to proceed, and therefore, I mean, Watson was instead able to grab the correct piece of information and provide an answer. Okay, so another super nice and interesting application of AI is the generative part of AI, okay? So we can use artificial intelligence to create any form of art. We can use artificial intelligence to create poetries, to create novels, to create movies, to create songs, and even you know, these artistic artifacts. So they resemble something, of course, because here in this case, AI has been trained with initial images, just for example, to resemble a style, and then, I mean, but these are original, you know. So of course, in the artistic creation, for example, if you create a song with artificial intelligence, there are many songs and even albums created by artificial intelligence. So the intellectual property rights is a bit blurred, you know, because who is if I create a song with artificial intelligence, the property is of the one that has written the algorithm, from the one that is that has the data. So it's a legal. There is a legal perspective that is pretty much quite urgent to solve, I would say. Then I would like to show you one example that the last time I did it, I was not able to show because the movies were not starting. So I would like to really show this part, because when you have to create a machine learning model or an artificial intelligence system that enables you to understand whether a machine in a factory, in a company, is broken or is going to break down or whatever, you have a very limited environment you are working on, okay? But even for a patient, a single patient is a limited environment where you really, that you can model. Now, when you are facing, for example, social challenges like, you know, climate change, or how to I don't know, like prevent I don't know, congestions in mobility for smart cities, and therefore you reduce carbon pollution and so on. If you want to, for example, take decisions on how to preserve ecosystems, or how to deal with your energy network, okay, with the microgeneration of coming from renewable energy sources, then you have to tackle with what we call socio-technical systems, okay? Socio-technical systems are systems where you have a mixture of man-made infrastructure, human-made infrastructures, natural phenomena, environment, economy, but you also have people there. Okay? In a smart city, if you want to take decisions concerning a smart city, then you need to understand that people are living in the smart city. If you are taking decisions concerning mobility, you have to consider that the ones that are driving are people. And if you are taking decisions in the field of energy, you have to understand that people is deciding whether or not to install a PV panel on their roof. Okay? So these people cannot be controlled by a central unit that say, you do that, you do that, you do that, and they do. I mean, it never happens like that. And even if you suggest things, in general, people do not behave rationally, okay? So for example, if you provide an incentive for installing photovoltaic panels on your roof, because there are, I mean, there were indeed, it's not clear that if it is convenient from an economical perspective, people will do that. No, that's completely wrong. I can install a PV panel on my roof because I'm very sensitive about environmental issues, or because my neighborhood has, or because you know, I don't want to do that because there is too much bureaucracy, or I don't believe that the government will provide me for 20 years incentives. So all I wanted to say is that in these cases, when you want to start from data and create a model, that's a mess. That's a mess, because you have to capture not only the model of, I don't know, like the smart grid, the electric grid, and so on, but you also have to capture the how can I say, the human behavior and the social behavior, which is really difficult to capture. But if you don't capture these in your model, then they are completely useless. And that's the example that, I mean, last time I had these videos, but they didn't start. So what I wanted to tell you is this work that we have done, I have collaborated with, I mean, it's not my specific work, but I have collaborated with NICTA in Australia and with Professor Pascal Van Enterik about this natural disaster recovery, okay? So there is a dam that is called the Warragamba Dam in the Oxford Nepean region, and if this dam floods, then it covers a surface of involving 70,000 people, 50 residential zones that need to go before the water arrives with their own vehicles in 10 safe centers, okay? That are up to the hill and therefore they're safe. So you have information concerning the road network, the historical data, and so on. So we have these three models that we are saying before, right? Descriptive models, you have to describe and you take data from the status quo, so the road network, how many traffic flows can support the road network, how many, the population densities in different areas, historical data, and so on. Then you have the predictive model that tells you when, let me see if it starts. Yes, this is a simulator that tells you very accurately when the water arrives in a given part, okay, in a given zone. And you will have, starting with you know, the moment of the flooding, you will know exactly at what time, for example, a road would be covered by the water. Okay, it would be very useful also in the last in Emilia-Romagna in the last few weeks. So you are very sure about when a road is covered by water. So in this case, it can be traversed by any vehicle, of course. And then, so we have the descriptive model, the predictive model, and now let's see the prescriptive model, the decision support model. So we have compared, we have taken an evacuation plan, okay? That's the purpose. We want to evacuate these people before the water comes. And the idea is that we have started from the one that was created by humans, okay? The civil protection, they created an evacuation plan. And we have compared the one that is produced by, if it starts, ah no, anche questa volta no. Sì, non parte neanche stavolta. Porca miseria. Let me see. No? Ecco, ti pareva. Okay, it's I mean, I'm sorry about that. So, we have compared, oh, eccolo. Okay, so we have compared, this is the plan that has been done by by humans, okay? So you will see the little car there are tens of cars, and the water is coming from the top. Okay, it's reversed, I mean, that's south and this is north. But then you will see these red little parts of the car that are cars that cannot be evacuated because they are stuck when the water comes, okay? And this is, you know, this is water over road, and they are stuck there, okay? So this is a zoom in the thing. And we have that with the civil protection plan, we have 11,000 people that are basically stuck, okay? And they cannot reach this safe center with their vehicles. While here we have the planned evacuation that is done with artificial intelligence, putting together these three models, and we start, okay, the water is arriving from there, and you see that here there is some counterintuitive movement, because you are moving cars from here while the water is over there, so why are you doing that? Because if you don't do that, they will get trapped. I mean, it cannot be saved. They cannot be put in safely, basically, with their own vehicles. Now, let me tell you what I want to. So we have done everything by using data and knowledge coming from experts. But then we have two problems here. The first problem is the fact that we had a couple of details. The first thing is that when you create a plan from the same neighborhood, we had, for example, different groups of people living at different times in the day, okay? So one living at 10 p.m., one living at 12 p.m., and 12 a.m., and one living at 2 p.m., okay? So you know what happens? It happens that the first leave, okay, at 10 p.m., and the ones that are supposed to leave at 12 and 2, look at them and say, oh my God, they are leaving, so it's better that I also take my car and leave, right? Because they have panic, protection for their relatives, for example, selfishness, survival instinct, irrational behavior, so they will leave all together, and of course, this generates congestions. That is what you want to avoid with an evacuation plan that is well done. Another thing that is not captured, for example, by mobility simulators, is that when you want to evacuate a city, you have to revert the sense in which highways are entering the city, right? So everybody should go out, okay? So you revert one road to make all the cars going out in a higher density, in a way. So what happens is that at the beginning, when you start in the highway, you can go left or right, okay, left or right, but both lead to the same place. But people slows down. So all cars slows down, and they create a super huge queue that there are no simulators that can grab it, okay, that can create it, okay? Okay, so this is the first thing. The second thing is ethical issues, okay? And here I would like to talk a little bit longer about that. So ethical issues mean the following. Suppose that you cannot do an evacuation plan that brings all these people on a safe side. Who do you leave there? So that's a question, right? So I have to program my model to say that I will bring first, I don't know, like women and kids. For us, for example, is pretty reasonable, but if you go in another part of the world, that's not the right decision. So there is a very nice experiment that is called the moral machine. I mean, you should try that. That's very nice. The moral machine is basically an experiment for self-driving cars. So you have a self-driving car that has two opportunities, okay, to kill 2 people or to kill, I don't know, 2 kids or to kill 5 adults. One woman and 4 men, for example. I don't know, 2 women and 3 men. I don't know. You can have many different things. There are dogs, there are cows, there are many different kind of people, different race, different gender, different everything. And you have to select which one is the best one, okay? You have to select one. At the end of the day, that was a very large societal, social experiment, and they discovered that the world is divided into 5 different ethical, so 5 different zones with moral and ethical principles that are completely different. So, for example, if you go to India, then you would have that cows are sacred, right? So they will always save the cows, while in Italy, of course, we will not. So you have, for example, that even the age is something that is pretty much controversial, because there are the in Asia that in some cases they would save elderly people with respect to younger people. So I mean, really, that's really difficult, okay? So if you have to drive a car, for example, that in case it finds a cow, it crashes against a hole and kills you that are driving, I mean, the owner of the car, would you ever buy one of them? No. So this is a very important aspect. Also because if, for example, a car is doing an accident, you will not forgive technology. We always forgive humans, forgive in the sense of the fact that, okay, I mean, a human can make some errors, can make some mistakes, but not an automatic, not a self-driving car, okay? So do you know how many car accidents there are every day in the world? I mean, there are thousands and thousands of people, I mean, 100,000 people that die for car accident. Do you want to know how many people died for a car accident with a self-driving car? One. But we cannot forgive it, right? Because we cannot consider that technology makes makes a harm, I mean, unpredicted harms to us. Okay, and so this is a very important. There is a very important part of connections between artificial intelligence and laws that have to understand. Okay, so if something happens, who is accountable for? So the accountability of these systems. Okay, who is responsible for? Who will pay for that? And this is a very important part that is now, of course, surging for the fact that artificial intelligence systems are indeed in our everyday life, and will be more and more in our everyday life. So one suggestion, I mean, I just talked a few days ago with a lawyer that is involved in the ethical table, basically, of the European Commission that is trying to work with this AI Act, that is the first regulation that when something happens for, I mean, artificial intelligence, caused by an artificial intelligence system, there should always be the responsibility of a human. So you should always be in the car, I mean, driving, even if the car is self-driving, you should be in the car, and the responsibility is yours. So you cannot really take a nap because, you know, I mean, the responsibility of a possible car accident is yours. So that's the direction in which they are going to go. So there are many, many fears of artificial intelligence. We have the fear of the Terminator, kind of Terminator thing. But in general, there are three things that I would like to mention. The first one is that machine learn from data that can be biased. The bias is something that we have already mentioned talking about ChatGPT. But, you know, there are some very important aspects that are concerned with bias. So when you create a system that decides whether you know, a fault in a machine is going to be fault or not, I mean, okay, even if there is a bias, you can survive with that. But if you are creating a system, an AI system, that decides whether to hire you or not, like, for example, the one of Amazon that has been switched off, that has been stopped, because he was trained with data coming from the last 10 years of employment, and they were all men, okay? So it was considering the gender as a feature to distinguish whether to hire or not a person. So this is a bias that has been exhibited by the model that was caused by the fact that data were biased. Or there was another experiment in the US using an AI system that takes some features of a person and that is in jail, and decides whether or not to free this person on the basis of the fact that he will commit again the same I don't know, like the same thing. So in this case, race was a bias. And basically, all the white American middle-aged men were all freed, while all the other were not. So the thing is that when you, or for example, if you wanted to ask, if you ask for a loan or for a scholarship, there are artificial intelligence systems that decide on something that is a personal thing, for example, and this is very, very critical. So you have to be sure that your system is not biased, okay? And the bias can come from the data, it can come from the algorithm, or it can even come from the human interpretation of the result. We are biased, always. And therefore, if we are translating you know, our knowledge to a machine, even the machine will be biased. The second problem is the problem related to the generative AI part. You can, artificial intelligence can generate images, videos, every form of art, as I was telling you before, that is not recognizable with respect to a real person. Okay, for example, you can create with artificial intelligence pictures of a person that is not real, but is absolutely indistinguishable from reals. Okay, so this can be a problem, right? Because you know, if you want to, I don't know, like make a video of a policymaker that tells you, or I don't know, of the king of the UK that says something terrible about someone else. I mean, before understanding that this is a fake, it's quite difficult, right? I mean, because in general, we are used to consider a video a proof, or a proof that something is real, because I mean, I have a video of that, right? So it's in our culture to think that a video is something that is really, you know, how can I say, true. Well, it is not, because you can generate any video, any image, any picture, whatever, that is completely fake. So the use of these things for also influencing the public opinion, for guiding elections, is something that Europe is taking into account very, very seriously. And then the third one is that machine, in general, imitate humans, and are we sure to be a good example, is the example that I was giving you about Ty, that learning from our tweets has become the worst possible behavior. I mean, he exposed the most horrible behavior ever. So the European Commission is taking these things very, very seriously, and they have done a couple of things. They have done a couple of things. So first of all, they have tried to create, so they have nominated a high-level expert group, and they have come out with the ethic guidelines for trustworthy AI. So what does this mean? It means that if you have systems that decide for you, or that suggest decisions, then it is clear that you have to trust it, right? Because, I mean, if I ask a friend, can you suggest me something? Can you give me an advice? Then why do I ask? Because I trust this person. So if you have an artificial intelligence system, that needs to be trustworthy. So how to increase trust? Of course, I mean, it's very difficult, but still, they have identified some features that artificial intelligence system can exhibit for being trustworthy. So one is, of course, the human oversight. So there should be no system that goes out from the human oversight. It should be technically robust and safe. So what does it mean? It should not cause even unintentional harms, okay? Because the robustness is the capability of a system of not causing any harm, even unintentional. And of course, it should be safe. Accountability, this is exactly what I was telling you before, right? So if you have an accident where a person dies and there is a self-driving car that has caused this accident, who is accountable for? right? So accountability is the capability of providing responsibilities to different actions. And of course, if something happens that is bad in a way, then you need to have someone that is responsible for. Then we have privacy and data governance. I mean, that's quite clear, right? So privacy means that you don't want your data to be used, misused, and spread everywhere because, I mean, your data are private, of course. Transparency, meaning explainability in a way. So the thing that when a system provides you a decision, then it means that it should be able also to explain why it provided a decision, like as human beings. So explainability is at the basis of collaboration between a human and a machine. Is the basic, right? Because you know, if you are not able to explain why you have provided the given decision, then my level of trust lows down, right? Of course. And then what else? Diversity, non-discrimination, and equity is exactly what I was telling you before. So avoid this bias in our model that will, for example, lead to hire only men profiles instead of, I mean, having a gender balance. So this equity and lack of bias is something that is very important. And finally, last but not least, sustainability. So as I told you before, these supercomputers that are used to train machine learning models and to train and to, you know, create these large language models as ChatGPT, for example, they are they are very power angry, they are consuming a lot of energy, and they are, of course, responsible for many carbon emissions, okay? So you want to avoid that. Then, of course, there are also other usage of artificial intelligence that we might want to avoid, like autonomous weapons. So if you are able to decide and to provide the support to the decision, an autonomous weapon will decide whether to kill or not a person. So that's quite a decision, right? So I would say, so there has been a large number of scientists and companies that have signed a few years ago a document saying that their research should not be used in any way in autonomous weapons. Now, that's clear that in this case, I mean, we cannot really control that this is true, but, you know, there is a large amount of investments in this setting. What else? Yeah, we have also some social, how can I say, impacts, very, very large social impacts. And one of these will be on the jobs, on our jobs, right? So, indeed, there is a report by McKinsey that says that for 2030, we will lose 30% of jobs, of the current jobs that we know right now. So, yes, this is true. It is also true that there are many, many jobs that are created, but for this, we need to really rely on education. So, of course, this is a revolution that cannot be stopped. So we have to, so there is a huge wave of innovation that is flooding us, so we can either decide to escape or to die, or we have to learn how to use it, okay? And for doing that, then we really need to change the education way, the education system in which we are seeing now. So for these tools, artificial intelligence tools, should not just be learned by people that have a technical or scientific profile, but we really need to make courses of artificial intelligence with a different flavor, of course, to people working in medicine, physics, in mechatronics, in agri-food. I mean, whatever kind of profile a person has, even in arts, in humanities. Because with artificial intelligence, you can really have many opportunities, but you also need to be aware of these opportunities and aware of the risks that you are running. So I really think that the education should be kind of changed, you know, or at least adjusted. But also for people that are now working already, because when I graduated, so all people that were going, you know, working in companies, they stopped studying, right? So they started working and they stopped studying. So today, this is not possible. So you cannot work without studying continuously, because, I mean, that's called a training on the job, because you need to make the people that are now working in companies to be able to work with these tools, to be able to manage this tool, to govern this tool, and to understand their opportunities and risks. And this is also the position of the Italian position. That is, so I had really the honor of participating with other 8 colleagues to the definition of the Italian strategy of artificial intelligence 2 years ago, and we worked a lot on which could be the Italian trajectories and strategies for enabling, I mean, Italy, Europe, I mean, starting from Europe, of course, but enabling Italy to become, you know, competitive with artificial intelligence too. So first of all, we concentrated on talents and skills. We concentrated on research and industry and public administration. So, and for what concerns talents and skills, we have really considered all different levels of education, starting from secondary school, up to, you know, promote and support STEM careers, enforce AI competencies in PA, attract and retain talent. This is a very big problem for Italy, for example. So we create a number of talents and then they go abroad. That would be nice if we had people from abroad that came to Italy, but it never happens so with the same frequency. We have a national PhD program that creates a PhD, you know, PhD on artificial intelligence, and we have 5 different areas of intervention of PhD. So we have AI for industry, AI for society, AI for cybersecurity, AI for agri-food, and of course, I never remember the 5th. Which one is it? Cybersecurity, it's agri-food, health. Of course, health. So we have these 5 areas and we have a national PhD that has been funded by the ministry. And all these parts here are trying to, I mean, the ministry have tried to put it into practice in the PNRR, okay? So in general, all the European community and also our governments are very much interested in understanding how to shape, how to exploit the potential of artificial intelligence in many different aspects. For example, in public administration, we have tons of data, but these tons of data are never used, are not used, not enough. So, for example, even if you go to the fascicolo sanitario, that is the place where we all have our medical records, that's not, I mean, these data are never used, while we could, for example, use this data to create personalized therapies, right? So, while in general they are just considered as, okay, I record the fact that you have done a visit with this doctor, you have done this exam, this clinical exam, and that's it. I mean, we never use this data at all. So even the public administration has super huge potential really for using this data and so on. But we really need to be aware of ethical issues. We really need to be aware of the risks that we are running if we do not control properly and we do not regulate properly artificial intelligence, because it can be used, for example, as is done in China, for example, to trace the activities of people in the, I mean, around when they are out of their houses, and they are ranking people, okay, with respect to these things. So this goes against privacy issues in our case. So we will not. So this would be we cannot. So Europe is not permitting this kind of use, for example, of artificial intelligence. So the Commission is now creating this AI Act, that is the first of a kind regulation of artificial intelligence that will try to understand which are ways that are use of the artificial intelligence that cannot be done, okay, that are completely wrong and cannot be really done. So like, for example, one is polarizing the public opinion by using artificial intelligence. The second is this human tracking activity that goes against our privacy. So these are completely forbidden, okay? Now you have other application of artificial intelligence in some aspect, in some context, where you need to take care because they are high-risk applications. One is health, of course. So in these cases, you need the system to be compliant to specific features that are important in that perspective. While then there are medium-risk and low-risk applications where you can also avoid to create a super huge regulation on top of these activities. But it's very important that we are able to create a regulation and to control this technology, because as Peter Parker uncle was saying, this, with great power comes great responsibilities. And indeed, artificial intelligence is really surging with a really great power. So we need to create a technology that is responsible and that is regulated by humans. That's all. Thank you very much. So, thank you very much. So I'm here for any question, but if you want, we can also chat a little bit with ChatGPT, as you like. I mean, but I don't see anything. I don't hear anything if you speak without the microphone. Do you have some questions? Yes. Try to shout.
The questions, teachers, pupils. No questions? Sì.
Okay, thank you for the presentation, and it's very, very interesting field. And I think, and I agree with you, that it's very, very important. And for our school, for our classes, I think that we need to do artificial intelligence in our classes. I don't know if you are doing something together with school, with this field, because you told about PhD people that are working on it, but I don't know if you are doing something, because I really believe in this field. I have a son that is doing machine learning for economic thing, finance, and my husband in drug discovery, in pharmaceutical things. So my father was doing mathematics model. So I am in this field, and I really, really think that is the future. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We collect some questions and then you answer. We have with us the Secretary General of European School. He's the man to whom your parents write when they are angry with me, with the school, with the teachers. So he's here, but he will go away very soon, but he wants to ask something.
Thank you very much. And maybe I will use now GPT to answer these emails from parents. Maybe it will help me for sure. No, but I would really like to thank you, Ms. Milano. And I think the link to education is a really important one, and you have highlighted also the competences we should develop. And maybe you could elaborate a little bit on that, because you said we should have maybe something in cross-curricular, in the secondary cycle. And what are your thoughts about that? Thank you very much. Mille grazie.
There is another question. Mrs. Ingler-Dechte.
Yes, thank you very much for the presentation. My question is, what would you say to our students, what should they study when they go to university?
So the first three questions you can answer, and then we see if there are other questions.
Okay, so first of all, I mean, concerning the education side, I mean, I really think it's difficult in the sense that we have always taught artificial intelligence in STEM courses like science, technology, and math, engineering and math. And in this case, you have the background to understand, because to understand what's going on in the AI. So what are these models, the mathematical part, and everything that is behind. I'm very convinced instead that we should now start delivering this content also to people that do not have this background, because I really think that making people understand and be aware of what you can do with artificial intelligence in your specific field is very beneficial, because we are talking with many companies that they ask us, but yes, but what can we do? Can we use artificial intelligence? How do we, what for? So there is no awareness, at least in our country, for really, and in particular, even for small and medium enterprises, for in the public administration, of which are the opportunities that you can exploit. So in Bologna, we are doing, we have done an experiment that I was mentioning before, and that also I will elaborate on that. So this experiment is the following. We are now delivering what we call AI pills to our professors, okay, professors of the University of Bologna, that ask for, of course. And we collect them by different subjects. So we have started doing an experiment with pediatricians, and they, of course, they have no background in computer science, right, and neither maybe mathematics, but so they know everything about their field. So we asked them which could be, so we designed the course with them. And the course is done in this way. So we have the first part that is general, so like an introduction to artificial intelligence, a little bit deeper than this one, but not that much. And then, I mean, we have 6 hours, kind of, and then 4 hours that are devoted to use cases in their field. So for the pediatricians, we have done 3 examples. One was medical images, I mean, a dermatological medical image analysis, and we have developed a small tool that was doing that. And we have explained how we have done this, and also the problem, because, for example, in this case, you had a bias with respect to the color of the skin, so you had an accuracy for one color of the skin, but a drop down of accuracy for others. So you need also to highlight which are the risks of this technology, because if you rely on that tool and you don't know the fact that depending on the color of the skin, the accuracy is very different, you may run the risk of doing a wrong decision. Okay, so that was the first example. The second example that we had done to pediatrician was the risk analysis. So given so it's a predictive model that, given the analysis that we do today, the person, the kid, run the risk of having a disease in 5 years, 3 years, or I mean in the future. So that's the prediction. And the third one was logistics of the surgery. Which was a mess in the hospital. We tried to give them an end to understand how to better organize surgeries, the timetables, and all this stuff, and shifts and all this stuff. So it takes a lot of time, because it was very, I mean, it's very long to organize these courses, because you really have to develop prototypes, little prototypes, for solving some specific applications, but only in this way you are really able to deliver the correct message. So you can do this, you can do that, these are the risks and these are the opportunities, because otherwise it stays everything, I mean, quite high level. For what concerns the $100 million question, of course I'm biased. So for me, I mean, I had, I mean, a super nice and interesting and lovely career that I would not change with anything else. and I have done computer engineering. And I have to say that there are quite less women than men. I don't understand why, but this has never, I mean, represented for me a problem, but of course it is a problem in general, because I think that we have a very different perspective on things, and you know, putting together in a team different perspectives is always beneficial. So for what concerns my experience, of course, I would strongly suggest you to, to follow a STEM course. But in particular, we are now trying in Bologna to create, so we have created already the laurea course is the last 2 years, magistrale, I don't know what is the name in English. There is 2 years on artificial intelligence. This is an international laurea. And it covers, of course, for the large majority of the curriculum, it covers technical and computer science, I mean scientific and technical matters, but we also have cognitive science exams. We have also exams on the part of the legal part, the concerns the privacy part. So we are trying to, you know, kind of, and also applications of AI and industrial application of AI, so that you really see a large number of application fields, because they are really broad, where you can apply AI. So just to make an idea. Of course, now I think that there are also many other interesting, many other interesting curricula that intersect with AI now, as I was telling you before. So social science enables us to understand how people are behaving with their social dynamics, for example, right? So we have done social simulators together with social scientists to try to mimic the dynamic of a society in a given condition, or in response of a given incentive, for example, or all this stuff. So then the legal part, as I mentioned before, has a very large intersection with AI now. Arts have a very large intersection with AI. For example, we are doing a very nice experiment that is with dancing robots in our course. So we have the Now robots, and we are using, we ask students to create a choreography done by artificial intelligence. And some of them use planning, some of them use learning, some of them use any kind of technique, and they deliver us choreography. This year we have introduced also music generation, so we have a team of 4 students that are doing the music generation and the choreography of the Now robot. And they are really, I mean, they are super enthusiastic about this stuff. Then at the end we show all the choreographies, we ask to vote for one of them, and then we have awards for that, and then we publish all of them. And then now we are doing a kind of analysis of these evaluations, because we have, you know, it's a survey more than just a vote, and we are trying to understand why people think that the choreography is nice or not. And we have also employed real dancers and real choreographers that are interacting with us to understand whether they can improve their job if they have you know, suggestions from AI, or if they have to do a choreography for a robot, because a robot has very limited movement. I mean, the Now robot, I don't know if you have seen it. I mean, it was the one that was grasping the cup, you know. It's a very nice tool, but it's very limited, it's fairly limited. And therefore, we are now, you know, trying to understand if a real choreographer, a human choreographer, has these constraints, which choreography would you do? Because if you have a human dancer, I mean, you are super free of doing whatever you like, because they are very, very, I mean, skilled. But a robot is doing things that are quite, quite funny, but limited. Anyway, so we have tons of things that we are doing. And we will have also this summer an AI film festival. So we'll give 8 movies that talk about AI, and at the end we are doing this experiment of through virtual reality, we will propose to people that are going to this film festival, they're coming to the film festival, a short storyboard, and then they are immersed in this storyboard, but then at some point they are asked to continue. So how would you continue a movie that has this beginning, right? This storyboard as a beginning. So at the end of the day, we will grab all these informations and we'll do a movie with AI, because there are already movies with AI, but that will be a kind of crowdsourced movie. So it will be an experiment, a nice experiment, and so that we are interacting with people from arts, we are people from also the language part is very important here. It's important that people from computer science that are organizing the virtual reality part. So it's very, very, how can I say, I mean, all this interdisciplinarity is really, I mean, exciting for me.
If you don't have other question, we try with GPT and then we... okay, other question, I come. Pia?
Do you know why they blocked ChatGDP in Italy?
I mean, yeah. So I've tried some of them. I don't work on large language models. Indeed, I mean, I use them, but I don't work on large language models. There are many colleagues that are doing that. But by the way, ChatGPT is also sorry, is also speaking Italian. I mean, you can write in Italian and it answers easily.
I have another question. So with the decisions that the EU is now taking about AI and the polarization of the public opinion, do you think we will see any differences in the functioning of social media?
That's a very good question. So indeed, yes, in the sense that, so let me say one thing. So you can really use AI for polarizing the public opinion through social media. Already social media are profiling us, okay, all of them. So they know, I mean, even starting from Facebook, I mean, there was an experiment that was carried out, I don't remember how many years ago, but it was kind of 10 years ago. There were kind of 18,000 people that were disclosing everything from Facebook, okay, and to this experiment. And you can, just from your post, you can understand which is your political thinking, your sexual inclination, your habits in terms of food, travels, everything, even personal traits. So they have our personal data, okay? They, I mean, the people that are working in social media, okay? The companies, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. And they can extract very, very private traits from this data. So, yes, they can in a way try to, if they use this system that create fake news, or even with ChatGPT you can do that, and they polarize this discussion. They can flood social media with these things. So now artificial intelligence is being trained to understand whether a content is true or false. Okay? So, and I really hope that they will manage to do that. Because for images, you can already do that. For images, you can already understand whether it is a fake or not. But there are some other forms of I mean, like videos or things like that that are not so easy. There are programs that are trying to understand whether you have answered with ChatGPT or not. Okay, because it's quite indistinguishable in some cases. So yes, I mean, they will change possibly, but they need to be regulated very carefully, I think. And of course, I mean, many people think that regulation in general is a barrier for innovation. That's possibly true, but I mean, we really need to to take care of this, because this technology is a lot of opportunities, but every technology, if it is misused, it can generate disasters. I mean, think about drones. I mean, drones are super nice and they can do a lot of things that are interesting, surveillance, whatever, but if you put, I don't know, like a bomb on top of a drone, that it can deliver it wherever you like without any effort. So that's the misuse of a technology. Or, I mean, with the nuclear energy, you can create clean energy, which is good, but on the other way around, you create a nuclear bomb. So depending on the use of technology, you can have beneficial or even harmful consequences. So that's, I mean, social media can be a very dangerous driver of fake things, or fake everything. So we need to regulate them.
Another question?
Yes?
So my question was about AI, of course, and the fact that you said that it was doing dances and everything. And in my opinion, like dancing, writing, singing are sentimental arts. So how can AI do it better than us if GDP or whatever doesn't have feelings?
So, okay, so that's another very good question. So first of all, of course, you can. So you can always say, and I mean, people can always think that something made by humans is better than something made by a machine, but they are mimicking us. Okay, so they are mimicking the data that they come from. So the data where they come from are generated by us, by humans. So they can, in a way, also mimic emotions. They can mimic, you know, even things that we believe being a completely of a human, I mean, a human legacy in a way. So yes, I understand your point, but believe me, I mean, going further, I think that this system will be able to create creative artifacts that will be quite impressive. But yes, I fully understand. I mean that, for example, translation. Now machines do translations better than humans. But so then people that are doing like interpreters, they say, "Oh my God, my work is in danger." And yes, indeed. I mean, it is quite easy that in 10 years we will not need to have interpreters like for normal conversation. But if you want to translate a novel, then the translation provided by computer is not yet at our level, definitely. So human translators are way better than artificial translators. But it's just a matter of time, I don't know. So maybe, because the pace and I mean, this technology is growing so fast, is improving so fast that, you know, I mean, some years ago I would have said no, absolutely not. Now I don't know.
Vieni fuori.
Vai, passate il microfono.
So can you elaborate on the human ranking in China? Like, how does it work and what is the goal of it? Thank you.
In China? They don't have any kind of law about AI. So it's the government that decides what can be done or not. So they are basically using AI for this. So first of all, I mean, if you want to create a company in China, you need to give the 51% to the government. Okay. So that's why they do not have Facebook, they do not have, you know, Meta or whatever. So because they need to have the 51%, to provide the 51% to the government. So they are controlled by the government. And of course, everything that can be, so they have a super interesting national strategy for what concerns, for example, education. So they are teaching AI starting from the primary school, primary. Okay, so they have done a strategic program on AI that is unbelievable, unbelievable. They're very fast in developing things. They have created, for example, a large language model for Chinese, which is not, I mean, as easy as our language, in I think kind of 6 months. So I have to say that they have they have a very, very interesting strategy. They are overcoming all the breakdown, and basically in the relationship with the US that has negated them to buy, and I mean hardware, so I mean software and hardware that was used for creating artificial intelligence. They of course now are trying to create everything and made everything in China. But apart from that, for what concerns human rights, then, I mean, this is not me that I have to judge, but of course, I mean, there are some privacy issues that are completely unconsidered in China, which are very much considered here. Like the fact that you have cameras everywhere that track your activities, track what you do, and then you have consequences of basis of that. They are also isolating, underrepresented groups. So it's quite tough. I mean, the use of AI can be really, really made dangerous. That's my opinion, of course.
Okay.
Ok, so. Ma sai che no, cioè io ce l'ho sul mio computer qua. If you want, I mean, I can ask some question for you, and you can, and then reading the answer, because I don't have the connection of this one with them, because you have to do a login. I mean, did you ever try the ChatGPT?
Did you ever try ChatGPT? No. Did you try? In German? Okay. Okay.
Okay. So do you want to do it in English or in Italian? Okay, in Italian, in English. Okay, as you like. What do you want to ask? Sorry? I don't hear. I'm going to read what he thinks. As an artificial intelligence language model, I don't have personal preferences. However, I can provide some objective information about Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo are both incredibly talented soccer players who have achieved great success throughout their career. Messi is known for his exceptional dribbling skills, agility, and creativity on the field, while Ronaldo is known for his physical strength, speed, and powerful shooting. In terms of career achievement, Messi has won more Ballon d'Or awards given to the world's best player than Ronaldo, while Ronaldo has won more UEFA Champions League titles and has scored more goals in his career overall. I don't know if these are true or not. Both players have a large fan base and are considered among the best soccer players of all time, but ultimately it comes down to personal preference when it comes to choosing between them. It's impressive, eh? Something else? Maybe not soccer related. Shout.
You have to come here.
Okay.
If you have any questions, you come here. Try. Okay, please.
Okay, so this super question, should I put cereals before milk or milk before cereals? Was it the question? Right. So the age-old question of whether to put cereals or milk in the bowl first is a matter of personal preference, and there is no right or wrong answer. However, here are some things to consider. Putting milk first can help you avoid splashing or spilling milk, as the cereal will gently fall onto the surface of the milk. Pouring cereal first can help you gauge an appropriate amount of cereals to pour, as you can see how much space is left in the bowl for milk. Ultimately, the decision is up to you for personal preference. If you may want to try both methods to see which one works best for you in terms of convenience and enjoyment.
Okay, the last two questions. Yes, do you have other kind of questions? No, different kind of questions.
Personali, ma posso fornirti come informazione sul tè al limone e alla pesca. Il tè al limone è spesso scelto per il suo sapore fresco e leggermente acido, che può essere molto rinfrescante e piacevole da gustare. Il limone può anche essere benefico per la salute perché contiene vitamina C e antiossidanti che possono aiutare a sostenere il sistema immunitario. Il tè alla pesca, d'altra parte, ha un sapore più dolce e fruttato rispetto al tè al limone, spesso è apprezzato per il suo aroma rinfrescante e la sua capacità di idratare, rendendolo una scelta popolare come bevanda estiva. In generale la scelta dipende dal tuo gusto personale e dalle tue preferenze. I tanti tè tra bevande popolari possono essere gustati caldi o freddi a seconda delle tue preferenze. Non ti risponde mai.
Okay, I think we can conclude.
Maybe one question about what you think about something. It's
Okay.
not just black or white, green or red, and so
Okay,
on.
Allegra.
Cosa? What is the chicken and egg problem? Or no?
Non lo so se questa domanda possa essere. Che cos'è la scuola per l'Europa di Parma? Vediamo se lo...
Il chicken or egg bisogna che io gliela scriva. Dopo arriva quello.
Cos'è la scuola per l'Europa di Parma? Vediamo se ChatGPT lo sa.
This is classic philosophical question that has puzzled people for centuries, but from a biological perspective, the answer is clear. The egg came first. Eggs being laid by animals long before the evolution by modern chickens. In fact, many species of dinosaurs were laying eggs millions of years ago. So then the question is chicken or dinosaur? Sorry, eggs or dinosaur? Over time, there are the process of evolution. One of these prehistoric egg-laying animals eventually developed a genetic mutation that led to a first chicken. Therefore, the first chicken would have hatched from an egg laid by a slightly different species, which was not quite the chicken. From a biological perspective, the egg must have come first in order of the first chicken to be born. Of course, this is a simplified explanation, and the question can still be debated from a philosophical and theological point of view.
Beh, non male, diciamo. L'ultima cosa, vediamo se dice che cos'è la scuola per l'Europa di Parma, poi liberiamo la dottoressa perché... School for Europe of Parma. Oh, what are European schools?
Italiano.
Vediamo.
Parlano tutti italiano qua.
Non tutti, ma va bene.
Cos'è la Scuola per l'Europa di Parma? È una scuola internazionale privata che offre un'istruzione bilingue, italiano e inglese, fermi, sentite perché può dire le scemenze, ai bambini dai 3 ai 18 anni. La scuola è stata fondata nel 1997 ed è situata nella città di Parma in Italia. La Scuola per l'Europa di Parma segue il curriculum dell'organizzazione del baccalaureato internazionale che offre un programma di studi rigoroso e completo con un focus sull'apprendimento interdisciplinare e sulla formazione globale. Gli studenti che completano il programma IB sono in genere ben preparati per continuare gli studi all'università in qualsiasi parte del mondo.
La seconda parte è giusta, ma è una scuola statale italiana, quindi non privata.
Vedi?
E dai 4 ai 17 anni, in realtà 18, ma non dai 3 perché il ciclo materno è diverso.
No, ma infatti c'è, diciamo
certo.
che... sorry, I'll switch to English.
We hope that
So,
the last part is okay, that you are prepared, well prepared.
you collaborate with other international schools and organizations to offer interchange programs, right? Is this correct? And so on. So anyway, so if you ask, I mean, the things that are just notions, then you can see that, I mean, the answer can contain many errors. I mean, my son that is a basketball player, I mean, he asked everything about Michael Jordan, and he had basically some wrong answer because he knows everything about Michael Jordan, my son. So, and so he discovered quite a number of errors, okay? Or another, so I have a colleague that is a musician that is very, knows everything about, like the Yes is an old group, and then he spotted many errors. But in general, you can use, so I think that ChatGPT could be a very good didactic tool for the future. So even enabling how to ask the right questions to obtain a given answer is something that would be very nice to train. Ok.
Allora, un grandissimo applauso alla professoressa Michela Milano.
Grazie, grazie a voi.
Tantissime idee, suggestioni, poi metteremo il materiale in bacheca affinché lo possiate vedere e speriamo insomma che vi abbia fatto sorgere tante domande, abbia orientato qualcuno di voi che sta per scegliere il futuro. Bene, cerchiamo di dimostrare la parte finale della risposta di ChatGPT, e cioè che siete ben preparati e non proprio del tutto sciocchi. Bene, grazie, arrivederci. Lo streaming ha eccitato i nostri ragazzi. Bene.